Okay. Welcome back. This is my pre-video yap before I get into discussing a fictional character at autistic lengths. Um, how are you guys doing? I am doing fine, actually. It is 12:30 a.m. It's midnight. But I'm recording the same day as I released that Artist of the Week video. Pre-video yap, I don't know what to talk about. I'm off the year cassettes. Before we continue, I want to give a warning. This video is going to talk a lot about controlling parents, like helicopter parents, and if that may trigger anybody in this small audience that I do have, I highly recommend you click off the video because I do kind of want to go in depth into one, why her parents were so controlling, and two, how that made her how she is in kind of like a bad way. Not bad way, but how that affected her, I should say. Without further ado, it's time to play the game. Why'd I laugh like that? Anyway, we're gonna start off pretty simple with I don't even think I explained who this video is about. You probably read the title or saw the thumbnail, but this is about Noelle. Noelle from Butterfly Suit, one of my third favorite characters out of the main four. I didn't really understand her at first, but it took me a couple playthroughs to really see why people have her as like a favorite character. Anyway, let's get into more of the personal history of like her with the other characters. And by other characters, I really mean the other main three. Starting off with the easiest to talk about, it's gotta be Dia. They've been childhood friends since elementary school. Apparently, they quote unquote bonded over donuts, but it was more like Noelle gave Dia her donut that she didn't really want, and Dia never really left her side after that. And it was to a point where Dia would cry if they weren't together. That's definitely something, but they grew closer to that. They grew closer after that, I should say, and actually developed a real friendship. Moving on, we have Min. She has a love-hate relationship. I kind of like to call it a friendship based on mutual hate kind of thing with Min. Even no matter how much she says that she hates Min, it's more of a love-hate relationship. She grew to understand and like Min as a person more as they got older. And I kind of feel like the reason why she wasn't really clicking with Min at first was something I want to talk about later, but you're going to understand it probably if you don't already later on when I talk about it, if I can explain it well enough. And last but not least, we have the queen main focus of our last video, Akarsa. Noelle's high school best friend and eventual wife, if you couldn't tell, if you haven't seen the first video. They are polar opposites. Akarsa is cracking jokes 24/7 while Noelle is stuck up nerd law follower, if that makes sense. Polar opposites. But I guess that's why they say opposites attract, you know? They really grew together, and I really liked seeing that during the second game. And just seeing how much that being friends with someone you didn't really think you could be friends with could really change you as a person, you know? It's just really odd, because if you really think about it, without you wouldn't really be where you are right now if it weren't for your friends being there to either cause chaos for you or be your moral compass and not let you do certain illegal activities that you really wanted to do. But it's a really great example of that without being too overly obvious, And with that, I just want to skip all the unnecessary stuff that I kind of got into last time, and I kind of apologize for that, and get right into the very next thing, which is her role in the friend group. Kind of like what I did with Akarsha, but this one is going to be not as dark, I should say. She's more of the moral compass or word of reason. She really adds balance and sort of control to the chaoticness of the friend group. Like, have you ever wanted to oh my God, I can't speak. Have you ever wanted to do something that you know you really shouldn't, and you're in a situation where all of your other friends agree? So you're like, maybe we should. But then that one friend speaks up, and he or she is like, guys, we really shouldn't do this. Just think about the consequences. And then you're like, oh yeah, consequences are a thing. And then you don't want to do it anymore. Then you feel good about not doing it. That's what it's like having Noelle in the friend group, but probably 10 times more annoying. I feel like if, let's say that the character never existed, it would be way too chaotic. Especially without Noelle to break up Min and Akarsha's fight in the first game. I think that's what happened, if I remember correctly. But she's just a really important character to me, now that I really think about it. Obviously, it wouldn't really be Butterfly Soup without Noelle, because then it's just Dia and Min and Akarsha third wheeling. That's all I really got to say for this part. Ooh, I bit my tongue. Another major part that I want to talk about, but this is more me speculating, because I don't really remember much from it, is how visiting Taiwan changed how she saw certain things. And the first thing that I really noticed was it showed her how differently she could have been raised had her parents not decided to move to America. Now, what I'm about to say is just my pure speculation and headcanon. Nothing's really been officially said to my knowledge. But I feel like she thinks that she would have been a lot nicer and calmer had her parents not decided to move. She would have been a better person in her eyes had her parents not decided to move to America. That's all I really got, because again, don't really remember much. But on the topic of her parents, I want to talk about how they raised her. They were very, very strict about her education. With that made her focus way more on her grades than having fun or really doing anything that she personally really wanted to do. It was to a point where her average grade is apparently like an A++, which is like beyond anybody's thinking, I could assume. But she's like almost always, if not 100% of the time, top of her grade and top of her class. And top of her grade, yeah, I already said that, but With that, though, her parents were very strict about what she could and couldn't do and what the school told her. A certain thing that really spoke out to me, not because I could agree with it, but because I've heard it happening and it just sounds stupid, is in a flashback, I think when you play as Noelle for the first time, in the very first few moments when you play as Noelle in the second game, she comes back home from Chinese school, which she has every weekend, so she doesn't even have a free weekend. But anyway, she comes back, and I think it was regular school. But anyway, she had family life or sex ed or whatever your school calls it, right? And obviously, if you've ever had family life or sex ed or any like health class like that in school, they obviously show you like what a condom is, things like that, pads, tampons, etc., etc. But, and I don't know if any other schools done this, because mine sure definitely hasn't. But apparently she had one in her bag, because that teacher that was teaching it was giving them out or something like that. I don't remember it fully, but her mom really, really got mad at her for having specifically the tampon in her bag, right? And she's like, "Oh no, you can't have this. This is vile. It's almost as bad as actually doing it with a man." And Noelle, rightfully so, this isn't like early middle school, by the way. Noelle was like, "Well, my teacher said it's fine. It's just to stop periods or at least like keep them under control, right?" And her mom's like, "Well, that's only because American girls think about doing stuff like that so early and at such a young age that it just happens. And that's why it comes so early to the American girls, which obviously makes no sense, right? That just sounds plain stupid." And even Noelle talks about how her parents are just like very dense to certain things. They hold on to very old ancient beliefs and superstitions and aren't very susceptible to change. And with that, on top of them being controlling of what I just said of how they're not susceptible to change and they hold onto very old values and things like that, that causes her to not fully despise her parents. She even says that she's grateful for the, experiences that her parents have given her, but she also feels that her parents have made decisions that have and will affect her for a very long time, but she feels like she can't really talk to them about it. Like she said that she feels that her parents have made critical mistakes. Critical, I should say. I should put emphasis on critical mistakes that will affect her forever, but she doesn't really have the guts to tell them, right? And I feel like it shouldn't be that way. And I can only speak with that because I feel kind of like the same way, right? Obviously, no diss to my parents or anything, and they don't know that. But I always felt like that, and I always felt that I can't talk about it. But I feel like one thing that this game really does well is showing real life experience and how family situations can really be. When I think it was Noelle and she was talking to Dia. Forget what they were talking about, but it was definitely something serious. And I feel bad for not remembering. But she really dropped this bombshell, a truth nuke, if you will, that really stuck with me. This game has a bunch of stuff that really sticks with me. I have like a whole channel in my Discord for it. Anyway, she says, "Why am I so desperate for the approval of two people whose opinions I don't even respect?" And I feel like that's the realest thing ever said since sliced bread. Bars. But like, I really like how she evolved from the first game to the second game. She started letting her parents control her less, while not trying to fully escape from the grasp of her parents. She knew her limitations and she knew she couldn't do, and she tried to weasel her way out of her parents' control little by little throughout the second game, which I really like. It makes it a really interesting character and it makes it really relatable to people like me. I feel like there's something relatable with every character in Butterfly Suit. That's why I like it so much. I can see a little bit of myself in every character, but I see myself the most in Akarsha. That's kind of why I covered it first. Anyway, we're talking about Noelle. Here's what I really want to talk about now. Kind of why I made this whole series instead of just talking about Butterfly Soup and a play-by-play. How, Noelle is misunderstood if you haven't played the second game, or even seen anybody play, or just don't know what it is. Noelle is a misunderstood character, and I can understand why. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna bash anybody who's played the first game but not the second game and kind of misunderstands them. I'm not gonna bash them because I can completely understand. People who've only played the first game kind of see Noelle as homophobic, which isn't true if you've at all seen any bit of the second game. She's very much not that. It's just a lack of it's a lack of understanding. She didn't understand what the whole concept, I guess you could say, of homosexuality really was. Going back, I'm referencing the second game a lot because you know what we're talking about. But going back to the second game, it was her, Min, and one other girl that's in the baseball team. I forget her name. I'm probably gonna put it up on screen right now if I can remember her name. But it was the three of them. They're building a tent for a video that they're gonna shoot for a school, and skipping some stuff, which I probably shouldn't do, but skipping some stuff. Noelle makes a comment about how it's impossible for two girls to, get it on, which by her real definition isn't wrong. It's technically the truth, but she's kind of forgetting the fact that times change a lot, and that two girls can get it on if they really want it to. It's not really impossible or hard to do. And I wouldn't say she was closed-minded, because that's like making it seem like she was hearing the truth but didn't want to. She just didn't really understand. She couldn't understand or get a grasp on how that would make sense, because her parents really sheltered her from a lot of stuff, which I could kind of understand to an extent, but that didn't really work. I had unlimited internet access at like 7 or 8, which is a really horrible idea. I kind of turned out the way I am from doing that, but I like how I am now. It's kind of cool. But one thing I really want to clear up, she is not homophobic. She has a loving wife. But that about does it for my autistic video game yap for probably the month. I don't know when I'm going to get back on this, because, my schedule is fried, and I start up school a month from now, a little over. A little bit of post-video yap for some of you who are going to stay, which I doubt any of you will, but, hope your day's going good. I've had a lot of fun dropping these videos, despite my horrendous upload schedule. It's kind of funny when I look at it. My upload schedule is fried, excluding a secret video that none of you know about. Starting from February 10th. So, kind of waited a while. The 22nd. Got right back on it. I uploaded the 24th. Took a long break. April 10th. Then April 29th. Then June 6th. Then June 8th. Then June 13th. Then July 14th. Then July 15th. It's not looking good, but it's not horrible, I really like doing this. It's really fun. But I'm probably making this video too long, so I'm going to end it now. Bye.